So if you've used Excel for any regular amount of time, you've probably come across the dreaded #n/a error code. Um, and this can actually be cause quite a bit of heartache, especially if you have any subsequent calculations that depend on the value within your table. Now, Excel will typically return this error code and frankly any other error code for one of two reasons. Either you've asked it to go out and find a value that doesn't exist, or you've asked it to perform a calculation that's not possible. In this particular case, I've asked it to go out and find a value that does not exist. And this is an HLOOKUP formula, which the first component is basically saying I need you to go out and find this date in my table array. But it turns out the date doesn't exist. So Excel, and its way of telling me that, is it gives me this error code. Now, if it just gave me the error code and it didn't affect anything else, it may not be that much of a problem for your data tables. But if you have any data calculations or formulas that would depend on the values in your table, it's also going to interfere with those as well. And so as a very simplistic example here, I have a total row here where it has a simple sum calculation. So I've asked it to sum this column. But because of that one error code, it also returns an error code. And so I'm going to show you a way to fix this. And it's simply by embedding an isError function within your formula. And so what we're basically going to tell Excel is that if you go out and perform this calculation or look up the value or whatever the case is, and you're going to return an error code, I want you to, instead of giving me the error code in my table, I want you to give me a value of X. Whether it's a 0, whether it's just a blank space, or whatever, you can pick whatever you want it to show you. Okay, so here's how you do that. So let's start at the very top here. I have an HLOOKUP formula, and the reference value is A2. The table is table 1 through 3. I want the second column, and then I want it to look for an exact match. So what we're going to do is we're going to use that isError function. And the first thing you do is you're going to use an if statement. So if, open parentheses, isError, open parentheses again. And then you can keep the same formula you had in before. So first step, if this formula returns an error code, which is what this is, and then we're going to go to the next component, which is, okay, what if it's true? Meaning, what if it does return an error code? What do you want Excel to do? And in this case, we're going to tell it to return a value of 0. The next component is, well, what if it does not return an error code? Well, if there's no error in the calculation or the lookup or whatever the formula you have in it, then I want you to perform the formula as it was first stated. So all we have to do is simply copy and paste that original formula under the value if false. And close all your parentheses. Now you notice this stayed the same. It stayed the same because it went out, it was able to find this date, it was able to perform the calculation basically, so it gave me the original value I'm looking for. So let's drag this down. And notice here, I no longer have the error code. So what it basically did is said, okay, so I went out, I looked for that date, I could not find it, that's an error, so I'm going to return a 0 instead of this error code. And because of that, you'll see that any subsequent calculations will also work as well. So while it's a little laborious to have to include an isError statement in your formula, if you use a lot of data sets that will sometimes have an error code, again, whether it's the value error code or the NA error code, and this will work for a number of others as well, then it's a good idea to go ahead and use this if and then isError function within your formulas. And again, it will save you quite a bit of heartache.